What is Operation Restore Justice? This is brand new from Pam Bondi and Kash Patel. Welcome to Doug in Exile, where I try and find just the biggest news today in politics. And politics tells us where we're at today, kind of this giant river that we're all floating down. It's not the only important stuff, but it's the kind of stuff that's being marketed by both the Republican Party and the Democrat Party, and by our broader American culture and how it fits into the whole world. These are, when you go back and read history from 100 years ago, that's not reality. It's what they were marketing and pushing at the time that everyone was focusing on. So I weigh in on the conversation. When culture tells me, you will be obsessed with diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, or Black Lives Matter, which is just, polls show that it just spiked under 2020. Nothing on the ground changed as far as who blacks and whites are or universities are, but they decided to pick up these topics and push them in your face. And I'm only saying I talk back and you talk back. And that's what this is about. It's about inviting you to exercise your free speech. No one silences you, and no one has more power or authority than you in America. All of us are created equal. So it does not make all of our thoughts equal, but it means all of us have a say. Here's Kash Patel on saving active children, restoring justice, restoring it because Biden lost it all.
Our children, if you harm our children, you will be given no sanctuary. There is no place we will not come to hunt you down. There is no place we will not look for you. And there is no cage we will not put you in should you do harm to our children. The prioritization of this administration and General Bondi has made it abundantly clear to child predators, you will be hunted down and you will be prosecuted. And that is a refreshing thing to hear for the men and women who do this work tirelessly. And it's also an acknowledgement of the safety that we look forward to bringing America.
They're ending this practice. Trump is obsessed with saving children that are enslaved right now, not 30 years ago or 25 years ago, if you know what I mean. Right now, we have to end their suffering. They're being held right now and they're hunting them. That's where our resources need to go. Instead of going after 1,000 victims from 25 years ago, which frankly, I don't have a time machine. I can't do anything about that, but we can do something about 300,000, they're saying 400,000 active known children that were placed in custody of people that are not their parents. Here's more from, this is a tweet from Pam Bondi. We now have made over 550 arrests in Washington, D.C. That's just Washington, D.C. And have made 76 illegal firearm arrests off the street, saving lives. Remember, these are all criminals in D.C. that were allowed to just walk the streets under the Biden administration. This would continue under the Kamala Harris administration, and it stops on Trump. So it's not just child predator crimes. These are about people with 76 illegal firearms walking around. These are street Saturday night specials. So this is them taking a harder stance on crime to make DC safe. What's a bummer is there's a bunch of other states controlled by leftists. These are blue states that intend to continue what DC was doing, which is continue to protect these thugs and not arrest these people. You can help. Here's something brand new. You guys, they're saying we can help. Call the U.S. Marshals headquarters, as this tweet address is offering a reward for any information if you know of any leading to an arrest. Together, we will make D.C. safe again. If you don't know of any D.C. crime going on, call it in. This is a bounty, $500 to help with public safety. And there's a scan here. If you have an anonymous tip, here's Brett Baer with waste within programs at the EPA. So this is Lee Zeldin at the EPA is talking about the kind of fraud activity that was normal operating procedure And we're talking about, with the saving of those children, a kind of morality. So these are, sometimes they would wash the money into an NGO. 4 different pastors would take their cut, and the dollar never went to the suffering people. So when they said, if you stop USA and you stop these NGOs, children will starve, they always hide behind, we're going to save the children, we want to help the children. No, they were pocketing the money that was supposed to go to children.
You have to be almost an investigator to see the bank shots of where this money goes, right? I mean, that's part of what you're trying to find out. Have you been shocked by what you've found?
Stunning. And in one case, for example, in the Solar for All program, a $7 billion program that's been canceled, we found examples where there were 4 pastors and they're all getting a VIG. So it's not like the dollar goes from an appropriation of Congress to a dollar that gets used for some good reason on the back end. Think of how much that dollar gets diluted when you have 4 pastors each taking their 15+%.
So this is in case you guys think, as a Christian, I don't call out other Christians. I'm calling out these pastors, absolutely, as part of the fraud. And they hide behind being a pastor, a man who's full-time, supposed to be administering the word of God, and they're taking grift. That's like Ananias and Sapphira in the New Testament. Just in case you think that's all in the Old Testament, Ananias and Sapphira lied about giving their property to the church, and God struck them dead on the spot. He went OT on them.
For the people who look and hear this and say, oh, this is the fleecing of America, this is expanded government, and you guys are attacking it. They looked at Doge and said that was going to do it. And they haven't seen that yet. They haven't seen that develop, and all that was talked about really hasn't come to fruition. How do you deal with that criticism?
Well, at this agency where we've now canceled 3 times the size of our operating budget, we've been proudly implementing a zero tolerance policy for any waste and abuse. Working with Doge on top of the $27 billion that I canceled for the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund was over $2 billion of many hundreds of grants where you might.
So you're saying it's an ongoing process. I mean, it's not stopped.
No, and I want to be able to account for every single dollar that goes through this agency. That is my duty. Now, unfortunately, it's not a situation where unanimously members of Congress all want me to be able to account for every last dollar. There are members of Congress, when I was appearing before the Senate EPW committee, people like Senator Whitehouse or Senator Schiff or Senator Markey insulted by the fact that we are digging deep and exposing all of this corruption.
They don't want accountability. This is about what is an alleged failure of Doge. Doge never had the authority to actually cancel the money. All they could do was point a light on it. And then you have to have proper leadership to actually go in and reorganize the budget. That's why Lee Zeldin has been so effective in stopping what he said was $30 billion in this greenhouse gas deal, this sham green deal within the EPA. He has the authority to go in and change it. So Doge can only look in the files and in the accounting and then tell leadership about it. Then the leadership has to go and use their will, or the Senate has to pass a bill, pass a law. So Doge never had, it was all a lie saying that Doge was going to walk employees out of the room. They never did. They never had that authority. Here's more, another clip of that. Lee Zeldin, Democrats are a criminal organization. There's no real way around it. EPA head Lee Zeldin heads his agency was used to funnel billions from the Inflation Reduction Act, formerly the Obama and Biden officials. He's showing how this Democrat stuff was just laundering money everywhere. This is over on Podforce One, a different interview than that Brett Baer one.
When I was going through the confirmation process, this video comes out. It was done through Project Veritas, but it was of
That's James O'Keefe doing his independent undercover journalism, who got canceled on every platform because of it. He's so effective.
a Biden EPA employee who was talking about how the agency was tossing gold bars off the Titanic, rushing to get billions of dollars out the door before Inauguration Day. He was also talking about the desire to get themselves jobs at the recipient NGOs. And these members of the Senate, it was coming from Senate Republicans who were asking, demanding, if confirmed, would you please make it a top priority to quickly get to the bottom of it? Absolutely, was my response with great enthusiasm and eagerness. And our team quickly was able to trace down so much. Basically, every time we overturned a rock, we found something under it that was either filled with self-dealing and conflicts of interest, unqualified recipients, or reduced agency oversight. And when Democrats had one party rule in Washington, D.C., they passed this bill called the Inflation Reduction Act that had tens of billions of dollars to go out through EPA. Well, EPA didn't know how to spend tens of billions of dollars. So they decided to park $20 billion at an outside bank and to have that bank send the money through 8 pass-through entities. All these NGOs, pass-through entities that were riddled with self-dealing and conflicts of interest, former Obama and Biden officials, Democratic donors, as you pointed out.
Money was laundered to the Democrat Party, but it's for the children. I had Christians at church come in who are Democrats come and tell me, I'm okay with Doge looking at things. I just really want to protect the children and the aid. And I know people where the warehouses are being shut down now that are supposed to get aid to starving children. I'm going, you can blame the Democrats for that because they were all grifting, taking money out of that chain all the way down. So they were saying in some cases less than 14% of every dollar was getting to the actual children. So of course you're going to come out and say, hey, I'm here to do good. You're very well paid to do good. In some cases, $500,000 a year to do good. And then you can always claim, but I want to hide behind, I want to protect the children. You're holding up a child, a starving child in front of you as your shield for your personal gain. And that is immoral. That's one of the things that Trump is stopping. One of the things that's starting under Trump I've talked about Christianity. Let's get to some Buddhist monks who want to give him the Peace Prize. Now we're going to go around the world to different religions. Here's the Buddhist monks.
70,000 monks just broke their vows of silence to nominate Trump for the Nobel.
They even sinned. They broke their vow of silence. That's how much peace Trump is bringing.
Dear Mr. President Trump, we are standing here today with hearts full of appreciation. Today, 70,000 Cambodian Buddhist monks are wholeheartedly supportive of our Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet to nominate you for the Nobel Peace Prize. Please accept, Mr. President.
70,000 monks can't be wrong.
Trump brought peace to the region. And I just want to shove that in the Democrats' face because they're supposed to be all multicultural, multi-culty. We're into other cultures. And, the one religion of Christianity isn't the only one true. But it's funny how even this other religion, that now that there's 70,000 of them endorsing Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize, you watch, they'll go like, that religion's false. They've been lied to. Suddenly they're no longer these carriers of truth. When the message disagrees with their agenda, here's Cuomo.
You remember that Islamist who drove a pickup truck with an ISIS flag attached through Bourbon Street, killing 14 people, injuring dozens and dozens more? He's a citizen from Texas, right? And we used to see that as an irony, right? Wow, from Texas. That's like the last place you'd expect a Muslim extremist from, right? Wrong. Texas is ground zero for what I'm talking about.
Ground zero, a mosque. They were trying to rise up with Sharia law in Texas. So we're going to go to another religion now, Islam. And I love having another Democrat throwing Muslims into the light for what they're doing in Texas. This is a red alert to Christians. And I'm not here to, and if there is a Muslim in my audience, that that's not the point I'm making, but you do know that I believe Sharia law should be illegal. You cannot say that there is a Sharia law carve out country within Texas that's under the authority of the Quran instead of our government.
Did you know there's a push to create an Islamic residential development there? 1,000 homes?
What if they made a Christian development of 1,000 homes, which I would support Christian homes? What if it was Christian? This would be national news, but it's Muslim homes, Islamic homes, I don't know if every one of them has a parapet on it. They do have a lot of swimming pools there so they can conduct their honor killings and drown infidels in the backyard.
Through 12, faith-based school, a mosque, shops, insular community. What's wrong with that? Everything. Here, we assimilate. Here, the struggle is to remove the distinctions, the melting of the melting pot.
Not quite. You assimilate into a Christian country. I won't give up that. I will not say that this is an atheistic country. This country was by Christians for Christians. Adam said our Constitution was no good other than a good Christian nation. It's not going to work otherwise. I have no problem with other religions existing side by side. In fact, it was Washington that was the first one to say that he would defend Jews, formal Jews who are Christ deniers. And I love the idea that we've always given them a country of sanctuary. Okay. And that includes Islamic moderates, because all these Islamic moderates, and I'm not saying that's what's happening in Texas, but Islamic moderates should come to America because you'll be beheaded in an Islamic radical because they're moderate. They're seen as, oftentimes, they're the first infidel they go after. Now, finally, we're going to end on this Laura Ingraham clip with Todd Blanche. And Todd Blanche is one of the guys that blew open the lid on the Russia hoax, called out Schiff, Hillary, all that.
Will they begin to see real pain in terms of losing federal funding since they are making the cities more dangerous with their policies?
These are sanctuary cities. This, again, goes back to Pam Bondi, which we also opened this show on. Pam Bondi's making it illegal to be a sanctuary city.
I mean, it's not just, yes, so federal funding, but this is about safety. It's incredible to watch the Boston mayor and some other mayors as well try to justify their conduct and justify what they're doing in their
They don't care, Todd. They don't care. So what are you going to do about it? They do not care, and they're giving you, the big middle finger. They don't care.
She's like my chat. Where's the arrests?
Well, what we're doing is we filed lawsuits in 9 states already, and you can expect more of those to come. There's potentially criminal investigations coming because in lots of situations, these cities are not just enacting sanctuary laws where they protect any information from coming to the federal government about illegal criminals that are here, but they're actually obstructing our efforts to do so. All we're trying to do, think about this for a minute, Laura. We're saying, can we go into your jails? The people that are charged with crimes, can we go in and find those who are here illegally and get them out? And people like the Boston mayor are saying no.
So they're already jailed for a crime. Many of them child predators. This is how the Biden administration's legacy continues to protect the evil, current, today, right now, evil.
How voters are okay with that in any city is beyond me, but President Trump's not okay with it, and I'm not okay with it. And so, yes, look, we've already filed lawsuits. You can expect more of that. We're putting a lot of pressure on these cities, and the fact that the mayor had to come out and say that is a good start, but there's a lot more to come.
Lawsuits aren't enough. Look at Laura. She's giving him the look. Look, Trump won overwhelmingly. You have a mandate. This all sounds way too slow walking to me. So I agree with some people in the chat. Where's the arrests? The problem is our court system, our legal system, indictments, investigations, they all go too slow and people will suffer in the meanwhile. And what Biden did and Obama have done and Hillary have done to this country is an emergency. They have put millions, probably tens of millions of people, caused them suffering, and we can't reverse it fast enough. But the good news is we at least now have enough authority to go in and start arresting them for ICE warrants. You have to expose it first. The public has to come up behind it and support it, which is why we do our shows on topic to the MAGA agenda of where we're supposed to point that fire hose. I'm trying to put more gasoline in the movement's tank to get things moving. It comes from talking about it, not by disengaging and saying, nothing will happen, I have nothing to say. Oh, I have everything to say. I'm leaning in and I'm pushing and I'm rooting for you, saying, go. Now you weigh in. Let me know what you say in the chat below. I'm Doug in Exile. Subscribe.